Welcome to the Beaver's Dam, everybody. I'm the Beav, and today we are going to be talking about one of the most controversial topics on this channel. So if you guys have been following the channel for the past month or so, you would know that I'm in the middle of a shorts series where I'm going through all of my retro games, playing them alphabetically, and the console that I chose to start with is the Xbox 360. And the whole purpose of this video is because the amount of, not necessarily hate comments, because they really aren't hate comments, they're more just disagreements, but the amount of comments that I get saying the Xbox 360 isn't retro, I mean, we're looking at up to 10 comments per video, and at the start of this journey, I tried my very best to respond to each and every single comment that I was getting. Eventually it became too much and I realized it wasn't really going anywhere. So I just decided to make this video, address all the comments and just kind of plead my case on why I believe the Xbox 360 is indeed retro gaming. Now, I know you guys already have your questions. One of the biggest ones probably being, why are we talking about retro games and playing Red Dead Redemption 2? And I do agree that is a great question, but unfortunately I'm not taking questions right now. So please leave your questions in the comments below and I'm going to try my best to get to every single one of them. Okay, but nonetheless, I will try my best. Now, one of the things that I get commented the most, believe it or not, is about the resolution and how a console or a video game that is being played in 720 or 1080 just cannot be retro. It does not matter how old the game is. And that's just something that I totally disagree with, because at some point the pixelated graphics were the next best thing, right? At one point in time, that was the best thing you could have, was the pixelated graphics. Just like at one point in time, 1080p was the best you could get. And now we're in a time where 4K is the best you can get. I mean, we're able to experiment with 8K. That's not really something that's common yet. It's mostly just 4K. But still, if you think about it in generation terms, 1080p is like 3 generations behind what we have right now. So I don't think it's a valid point to say that if it's in 1080p, it just cannot be retro, because 1080p is from the past. That's not something you play on anymore. Now, my second point goes into how old this console is. Now, I believe that there is some facts to this. So I think that if a game or a console is within a 15 to 20 year mark, I think it's within a gray area. And I'll explain that in a second. I think if anything is less than 15 years old, then it is absolute fact that it is not retro. I think if it's older than 20 years old, then I think it's absolute fact that it is retro. Now, I think that this gray area is all based on common sense and just overall opinion, overall experience that you've had. And for those of us who did grow up on this console, we have that nostalgia feeling of remembering when we were a kid playing these consoles. And I think that is when you kind of can decide for yourself that if this is retro or not. And the Xbox 360 is indeed turning 20 years old this November. So I think once we hit November of 2026, when it hits 21 years old, I think that's when it will be absolute fact that this is a retro console. But I think at the moment it is in that gray area, so it is kind of based on opinion and personal experiences. And just for me personally, this is a retro console. So moving on to my third and final point, and in my opinion, my strongest point. Do you guys remember as kids sitting in front of the TV playing on your Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3, whatever it was, and somebody of an older generation comes by and says, oh, this is what gaming is now, and they start to reminisce about their time as kids or teenagers playing the games that were out at their time, and telling us stories of how it used to be, what it used to look like, and the best games of that time. And we used to think, oh, that's retro. Well, now us people in our 20s and maybe even early 30s, we are that older generation. We are the people that are reminiscing and telling stories to the kids and teenagers of today about the golden age of gaming. Now, I can speak from experience with this. I have a 16-year-old brother, and he is pretty big into gaming, pretty big into the new Call of Duties, and I often find myself telling him stories about old Call of Duty lobbies and just the golden age of gaming, how Xbox 360 used to be, how online used to be, just how much better games used to be. And I always find myself reminiscing as I tell these stories, and I often get the same responses that I used to give as a kid when I had some older people telling me about what gaming used to be like back in the 90s or 80s or whatever games they were talking about. So now that just begs the question, since we are that older generation now, we are the people telling the stories about how gaming or how good gaming used to be in that golden age. I mean, doesn't that make it retro? I mean, obviously you guys know my opinion on it. I think absolutely yes, this is why it is retro, because of that standpoint. But of course, you guys are gonna have to decide for yourselves. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you guys have anything else to say, any points to debate on what I just said, let me know in the comments below. I'm going to try my very best to get to every single comment in this video. But with all that being said, I just want to say thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.